The story starts with a boy named Geta Nakami who struggles with insomnia. Every night his mind overflows with thoughts, making it impossible for him to sleep. At school, a girl named Kanekawa shares a tale with her classmates about another girl who, after being rejected by her crush, decided to end her life. There was a boy who dedicated himself to astronomy in her memory and believed she was waving to him from the stars. However, he soon passed away, and the other members of the astronomy club began to die as well. Eventually, the club was disbanded, but the girl's spirit is said to still linger there. Kanekawa is interrupted and told to stop talking and focus on preparing for the school festival. She then points to Nakami, who is dozing off under a cardboard box and not contributing. The other students tease him for being inattentive. Later, Nakami is sent to fetch some boxes. While doing so, he runs into Yukawa, who teases him for falling asleep again. Nakami explains that he can't sleep at night, which leaves him exhausted during the day. As a result, he is often bullied by others. While looking for the boxes, Nakami stumbles upon the old astronomy club room, which is hidden away and serves as the school's secret base. Feeling tired, he decides to rest there but notices a girl sleeping nearby. Out of curiosity, he moves closer to her. Suddenly, the girl wakes up, screams in shock, and tries to run away. Nakami recognizes her and manages to calm her down. Her name is Isaki Magari. The two soon realize they are stuck inside the room with no way to contact anyone outside. Nakami explains that he came in to get the boxes and attempts to turn on the lights. However, Maguri accidentally shines her flashlight in his eyes, which helps him feel more alert. Maguri shares that she also struggles with insomnia and wants to stay in the room for now. Nakami suggests they inform his friend Yukawa, who he believes can be trusted. Maguri admits she made up the story about the ghost haunting the old astronomy club room. Eventually, both of them fall asleep, and when Nakami wakes up, he realizes his usual headache is gone. They find themselves in an awkward position just as Yukawa opens the door for them. Before leaving, Maguri gives Nakami her phone number. Later, at the school's medical office, Dr. Yako Kirishiki mentions that insomnia affects about a quarter of Japan's population. Maguri arrives at the office too, accompanied by a cat that has stolen a cabbage leaf from someone's sandwich. Despite some rest, both Nakami and Maguri continue to struggle with their insomnia. They decide to reorganize the old astronomy club room as their new base. While working, Nakami talks about how he spends his sleepless nights. Inspired, Maguri suggests they create a night fun club. That evening, they meet again when the streets are deserted. They enjoy their walk together, and Nakami recalls how he was once gifted a camera as a child. At the time, he had wanted a gaming console instead and felt disappointed. Maguri shares her experiences with childhood health problems and how she eventually got into sports. As they walk, they spot a policeman patrolling on a bicycle. They quickly hide until he rides away. Afterward, they admire the night sky, captivated by its beauty. Nakami takes out his camera to capture the moment, and Maguri asks him to take a picture of her. Nakami walks into the classroom and notices Maguri heading toward him. They briefly make eye contact, but he chooses to ignore her and goes to his seat, leaving Maguri confused. She messages him, but Nakami explains that they need to keep their connection a secret because of their shared insomnia. He suggests they're a unique case, keeping their struggles private. Maguri agrees, and they continue acting like strangers in public. Later, Nakami and Maguri discuss fixing up the astronomy club room to make it more comfortable, particularly by finding a good sofa. While sneaking into their hideout, they hear approaching footsteps and panic, only to discover it's just a stray cat. Maguri, who is scared of cats, feels uneasy. However, their real fears come true when Miss Kashiki catches Nakami fixing the doorknob in the astronomy club room. Nakami takes responsibility, displaying some old-school chivalry, but Maguri still shows up and both end up getting caught. Miss Kashiki confronts them, hinting at potential mischief, but they explain their insomnia and request permission to keep using the room. Despite their explanation, Miss Kashiki is skeptical and says she'll report the matter to the school administration, also mentioning concerns about the telescope's condition. Nakami suggests they officially join the astronomy club to secure access to the room. Miss Kashiki remains uncertain and promises to consult with the higher-ups. The next day, Nakami and Maguri are summoned to the staff room, where Mr. Haki, Miss Kashiki, and the vice principal are waiting. Mr. Haki reveals they are aware of the situation and, after some discussion, allows them to join the astronomy club. Thrilled by the news, Nakami tells Yukawa, who is excited for his friend and eager to see him in action. After completing the required paperwork, Nakami and Maguri meet Miss Urashiki in her office and learn their application has been approved. Since Maguri is already involved in 2 clubs, Nakami is appointed as the astronomy club's president, although he views the position as purely symbolic. Miss Urashiki informs him that he will need to attend the annual budget meeting in September to report on the club's activities, which will determine their funding in March. As Miss Urashiki is unfamiliar with the club's previous activities, she connects Nakami and Magari with an alumnus who might have answers. The two head to a rural area and eventually find the shop where the alumnus works. They discover that the alumnus Shiromaru manages a gambling parlor and gives them a warm welcome. She tells them to follow her to her room, where they ask for guidance on astronomy club activities. Nakami mentions that all they've done so far is sleep in the observatory. Shiromaru admits she isn't the best person to ask since, during her time in the club, all the senior students left, making her the sole member. This gave her exclusive access to the observatory, which felt like her private room. Noticing Nakami's high-end camera producing supper pictures, Shiromaru offers some tips to improve the quality. She takes them outside to teach them how to capture images of stars and the moon. After their session, Shiromaru escorts them to the subway station, mentioning that she'll periodically visit to ensure the observatory remains functional and doesn't turn into a storage room. The next day, after finishing up at her swimming club, Magari heads to the observatory. To her surprise, she finds Shiromaru sitting there with Nakami and their cat. Miss Kashiki suddenly emerges from a tent and inquires about their plans for the club presentation. Nakami, having done some research, suggests hosting a viewing party on the school's roof for the upcoming Perseid meteor shower in August. Magari, unfamiliar with the concept, asks Shiromaru to explain. Shiromaru tells her it's an event where people gather to watch meteor showers together, although Shiromaru herself has never hosted such an event because she was the sole member of her club. Miss Kashiki feels that promoting the event beyond the school would attract more participants. To successfully host the event, they realize they'll need additional help. Nakami considers asking his only friend, Yukawa, to assist. The teacher gives Nakami a poster about a night sky photo contest they're supposed to join, even though Nakami knows nothing about photography. Miss Kashiki assures them they can rely on Shiromaru for help. Shiromaru points out some ideal spots for capturing great photos. Magari recognizes one of the places and mentions it's the same location they're heading to for summer camp, so they plan to take their contest photos there. Nakami, unsure about his camera skills, hesitates, but Shiromaru boosts his confidence, telling him he'll do great. Magari decides to design the posters for their event and asks Nakami to handle the camera, which he looks super excited about. Later, Shiromaru hikes up a mountain with her cat to get a clearer shot of the stars. She sets up her camera to point at the sky, and while waiting for it to capture the image, after reading for a bit, Shiromaru checks the photos and is blown away by a gorgeous shot of the starry sky. Sadly, her cat doesn't understand why it's so amazing, and there's no one else around to share her excitement. Shiromaru considers sending the photo to the astronomy club chat but hesitates, thinking they might be asleep. However, her cat nudges the button, sending the picture. To her surprise, both Nakami and Magari, the night owls of the group, quickly reply. The next day, Magari and her friends gather to chat about ordinary aspects of life. Eventually, they delve into a discussion about the 7 Faithful Bridges, a legend claiming that crossing all 7 bridges over the Misogi River in silence binds individuals together in mutual love if they have a crush. The girls contemplate going on a romantic fireworks date, but Magari wonders if Nakami would enjoy such an outing. Meanwhile, Magari and Nakami continue to act like strangers in front of their peers, but Yukawa seems to have caught on to something between them. When Magari and Nakami meet, they talk about watching the fireworks together. On a school day, the students are informed about a 3-day seaside camping trip, and Nakami is paired with Ruri for the activities. During school hours, Nakami enters what seems like an empty bathroom, only for Ruri to walk in. They engage in casual conversation before Ruri playfully mentions seeing Nakami the previous night and teases him about his late-night antics. Nakami, usually composed, gets slightly agitated by this. He asks if Ruri plans to report him, but Ruri reminds him that they would both face consequences if she did. Unfortunately, Sensei emerges from one of the closed stalls, shocking both Nakami and Ruri. They're called to the teacher's room where Sensei gives them a stern warning but lets them off the hook. Haku-sensei suggests they engage in daytime physical activity to improve their sleep at night. However, this comment about people struggling with insomnia being messed up angers Nakami, leading him to vent his frustrations and insult his teacher. Later, Nakami encounters Magari at the astronomy room, visibly upset. He informs Magari that the weather forecast for the camping trip is cloudy, dampening his hopes of taking photos as planned. Magari realizes Nakami needs encouragement and advises him to smile more. She proposes that if the weather clears up on any of the 3 camp days, they should meet under the starry sky on the beach. Nakami hopes for clear weather and falls asleep in the astronomy room. Magari tries to wake him but eventually succumbs to sleep next to him, placing her head on his back. Nakami's strong reaction to Haku-sensei's comments stems from his empathy toward Magari and her struggles with insomnia. Magari's affectionate response to Nakami's sadness strengthens their mutual feelings. As Nakami packs his belongings for the school trip, he remembers Magari's words about meeting her at the beach if the weather clears. On the bus, the students play fun games to pass the time. However, Nakami, who didn't sleep like every other night, struggles to stay awake while his friends tease him. Upon reaching the camping grounds, the students work together to prepare for the upcoming days. During the first night of the trip, Nakami finds it difficult to sleep due to the noise from his fellow campers. Ruri and 2 other students attempt to approach the girls' camp but are intercepted by Sensei. With Sensei keeping a close watch, Ruri and the others decide to play within their camp. Meanwhile, Nakami continues to struggle with sleep like every other night. On the second night, he finds it challenging to fall asleep again. Around 1:00 a.m., he steps out of the camp to check the weather. To his surprise, the rain has stopped and the sky has cleared up, revealing a blanket of stars. Nakami grabs his camera and heads to the beach, where he unexpectedly encounters Magari, who had promised to meet him if the weather cleared. The 2 friends are delighted to spend time together. They enjoy playing on the beach under the starry sky. Nakami takes out his camera and adjusts the settings to capture the breathtaking beauty of the night. It takes nearly 2 hours for the camera to capture the perfect shot. While waiting, Nakami and Magari sit together on a nearby mat, feeling bored and unsure how to pass the time. In a moment of vulnerability, Magari asks Nakami if he wants to sleep with her. Before he can feel awkward, she clarifies that she knows he hasn't been getting enough sleep. She confesses that the best sleep she ever had was when she slept next to him, listening to his heartbeat. Nakami admits it was the same for him. Eventually, Nakami allows Magari to listen to his heartbeat and sleep beside him. She notices his heartbeat is faster than usual, but Nakami remains silent. They both fall asleep and only wake up when it's time for sunrise. Realizing they're running late, Nakami fears that if someone sees them together, it would be difficult to explain. They quickly rush back to the camp, hoping no one else is awake. Shiramaru arrives at Nakami and Magari's school on a typical hot summer day. Nakami operates the observatory while Magari works with a fan, though it only blows warm air. Nakami looks at the photos he's taken and focuses on one of Magari from their trip. Yukawa, working on a side job, notices him. Soon after, a girl joins them, and they thank Nakami for allowing them to hang posters. They brainstorm ways to promote their event. Magari offers to ask her friends for help. Nakami, still dissatisfied with his photos, feels inspired by their perseverance and hard work. He accidentally says too much about the photo of Magari, causing her to glare at him throughout the conversation. Later, Magari looks at the photo and points out details that embarrass her. The group starts discussing plans for a trip and decides to organize a training camp. Before leaving, Magari asks Nakami to take photos of her during the trip, joking that part of her would remain there in the pictures. There's a brief, awkward pause, leaving Nakami reflecting on her words later. Nakami reads through the earlier correspondence but struggles to understand what she meant in her last message. The teacher announces an upcoming exam, and later, Magari and Nakami watch Nano as she sketches. They ask her to design posters, and Nakami removes his shirt at Nano's request, leaving the girls flustered. Nano then asks Magari to pose with Nakami, further embarrassing them. Copies of the posters are made from Nano's design, but they need more people to help. Nakami goes to find assistance and discovers Magari already asleep in the observatory. He asks Anamizu for help, and though she hesitates, she agrees to consider it after her training. At baseball practice, Anamizu struggles but asks Nakami to help her train. She takes on the role of pitcher but misses frequently. Summoning her determination, she makes her first successful throw. When Kaneko learns that some of her friends are already on board, she decides to join them. After the meeting, Nakami visits Shiramaru and informs her about the upcoming training camp Magari have planned. Shiramaru teases Nakami about his growing closeness with Magari and decides to join, encouraging them to work hard with the right mindset. Magari meets her friends at Nonu Station to distribute flyers for the meteor shower party, but they struggle to generate interest. Nakami later arrives with refreshments, hands Magari the rooftop key, and leaves to distribute the remaining flyers. Yukawa sees Nakami and suggests that he should prioritize watching the fireworks with Magari instead of handing out flyers. Nakami and Magari reach the rooftop and are soon joined by Kinim, Nonu, and Anamizu, who arrive late. Together, the 5 of them enjoy the fireworks, creating lasting memories on the school's rooftop, which they have all to themselves. Afterward, everyone leaves except for Nakami and Magari. In the dark observatory, Magari opens the roof to let in the moonlight. She climbs onto the opening, and Nakami, concerned, warns her to be careful. A strong gust of wind causes Megari to lose her balance, but Nakami quickly grabs her before anything happens. Megari holds onto Nakami tightly, placing his ear on her chest so he can hear her irregular heartbeat. She opens up about her heart problems from childhood and her lingering fear that it might stop beating one night, never knowing if she'll wake up to see another day. Nakami reassures her, promising to always be there for her, ready to listen and support her whenever she needs it. Kanem later checks on Megari, concerned about her lack of sleep and the fact that she didn't call him at night. Megari explains her parents' strict rules that don't allow her to stay up late. To help, Nakami suggests using a broadcasting app so he can talk to her. He sets up a private room for Megari, allowing her to hear his voice whenever she can't sleep. After Nakami finishes his broadcast, he joins Megari in her private room where they have a long conversation. After all their hard work preparing for the viewing party, it starts raining. The rain is relentless, showing no signs of stopping. Miss Kishiki sadly announces that they have to cancel, even though many people were excited about the event. Nakami takes it to heart, blames himself, and runs out into the storm after apologizing to everyone. Megari chases after him, and they end up taking cover at the same bus stop where they first met for their night fun club. Nakami is visibly upset, feeling like he always has bad luck and can't get anything right. Megari reassures him, telling him it isn't his fault and that he is always special to her. Just then, Yu finds them. Seeing how close they are, she dashes off, calling Nakami a playboy. The rest of their friends console Nakami, insisting that it wasn't his fault. No one can control the weather. They promise to try again soon, knowing that meteor showers happen often and believing they'll have better luck next time. The following day, Nakami asks the school president for some funds to go on a photography trip outside the city for an upcoming contest. However, the president turns him down, telling him to pay for it himself if he wants to take a prize-winning photo. Nakami tries to get a part-time job for the summer, but his applications are rejected everywhere he applies. He shares his struggles with Yu, mentioning that he doesn't want to ask his dad for money to help him out. Yu offers him a job at her arcade. When Megari and Yukagawa see him in his work uniform, they can't help but laugh while congratulating him. The girls kick off summer break with a beach trip. When Nano starts telling ghost stories, Kako interrupts, frustrated, questioning who tells spooky tales at the beach. She vents about the day not going as she imagined, feeling annoyed that they're just having fun by themselves without meeting anyone new. Meanwhile, Nakami reviews his trip budget and realizes he's still short on funds, even with his job earnings. Just then, Megari visits after her beach outing, sharing that a young kid flirted with her, amusing her. When she asks about Nakami's plans, he explains the budget shortfall and his idea of skipping some spots. Megari proposes a solution, using her grandmother's empty house in the city for free since her grandmother moved to a nursing home. She also suggests cooking meals to save money. Nakami realizes they can visit all the places they hoped for, and they celebrate with a little dance. However, Megari's sister, Haya, declares she's joining the trip, much to Megari's annoyance. Nakami meets Megari's family, including Haya, who jokes that Megari is a clone of her. Megari dismisses her sister's teasing, but confirms Haya is indeed coming along. Tension rises when Megari catches Haya wearing her clothes, including her bra, making Nakami awkwardly look away. Later, Miss Kishiki visits Nakami's home to discuss training camp plans and learns more about him from his dad. Yu also reviews Nakami's photo portfolio, praising his progress. She advises him to focus on capturing moments that truly move him, as those make the most memorable photos. While exploring, Megari takes Nakami to a breathtaking spot she loves, describing how it transforms into a sea of cherry blossoms in spring. Inspired by the moment, Nakami captures a photo of Megari standing amidst the serene beauty. The next day, Haya drives them to Megari's grandmother's house in Noto for the camp. The location boasts a picturesque ocean view, a shrine, and a bus stop. Nakami takes charge of preparing lunch while honing his photography skills. He suggests climbing the shrine and invites Megari, but Haya arrives first. They discuss Megari's condition and its impact on their family. Haya asks Nakami if Megari is romantically interested in him, but he clears the misunderstanding. Haya advises him to avoid getting too involved with Megari, suggesting there are other girls without such burdens. However, Nakami explains he admires Megari and has never pitied her for her condition. Megari joins them at the shrine as the sun sets. Haya complains about the dullness of the town, but Nakami changes her view by showing her a stunning photo he captured of the shrine. The next day, Haya leaves to meet her boyfriend, leaving Megari upset. Nakami worries he caused her departure, but Megari assures him Haya never discusses her feelings about Megari's health with others. Before leaving, Haya asks Nakami to take care of Megari, explaining that she has never pitied her, which makes their bond special. Nakami and Megari head to a new location to meet Suima and successfully obtain a camping permit. They explore the area and find a spot perfect for photos. As Nakami sets up his camera, the island is illuminated by bright lights, dampening his enthusiasm. Megari reassures him that the lights will go off at 11 p.m., restoring his motivation. Nakami sets up again and patiently waits for the perfect shot. After completing their task, they return to Megari's grandmother's house. At bedtime, Megari jokingly suggests setting a boundary line between them for the night. Both struggle to sleep and spend the time exchanging random funny pictures until they drift off. Over the next few days, Nakami and Megari explore various locations and take breathtaking photos. One evening, while Nakami reviews his pictures, Megari brings in watermelon to share. As the night deepens, Nakami confesses a strange feeling he's had since their arrival. He shares that he no longer feels anxious and instead feels liberated, as if nothing is holding him back. He opens up about his fear of tomorrow, tearfully revealing that he dreads the next day, believing it will be worse than today. To extend the present, he avoids sleep. Moved by his vulnerability, Megari surprises Nakami with a kiss. Blushing and embarrassed, she hides her face, leaving him speechless. In his confusion, he accidentally steps into the lake, breaking the tension and making them laugh. While Nakami regrets not expressing his feelings at that moment, he resolves to do so later. The next day, Nakami wakes up and realizes he overslept, but it turns out it's raining. During breakfast, he mentions that their money is almost gone. Megari decides to do her homework but gets distracted by every little thing. Eventually, she watches Nakami handle her tasks. She suggests they take a walk in the rain wearing raincoats. Despite the strong wind, they enjoy it, though they end up soaked. Back at the house, they eat noodles, and Megari shares how much she usually enjoys food. As they sit quietly, their feet accidentally touch, leaving them both flustered. The next day, the rain clears, and Nakami suggests going grocery shopping. Megari informs him that more people will be joining them soon. They meet her friends, including Yukawa, who brings a lot of food, and Anamizu, who carries plenty of bananas. Megari notices some powder, which turns out to be flour. Moko prepares a delicious omelet that everyone enjoys. Later, Nakami shows the photos he's taken, and the girls head off to a bachelorette party. Yukawa tells Nakami that everyone is rooting for him and Megari, then asks how things are going between them. Nakami realizes that something between them has shifted. Yukawa comments that Nakami has become cooler. The girls spend their time together, and Nako decides to tell a horror story. Anamizu hears what sounds like a scream, scaring everyone. However, it turns out to be an ordinary deer. The two suggest lighting fireworks, while Yukekawa offers to play his guitar. Everyone listens to his music, and they all enjoy a wonderful evening together. The next day, Nakami and Megari's friends pack up and return to the city. As Nakami and Megari walk back from the station, Nakami takes her hand. Megari receives a call from her mother but chooses to ignore it. It turns out her mother discovered that Hayad left Megari and Nakami alone at the house. During dinner, Nakami asks how her parents reacted. Megari explains that they want her to return home immediately, but she told them she still has one more place to visit before ending the call. Megari's mother later messages her, saying she and Megari's father will pick her up from her grandmother's house. Nakami suggests they clean the house before leaving and jokes about kidnapping her to finish their journey together. They tidy up, pack their belongings, and leave right away. After getting off the bus, Nakami reassures Megari that they'll face the consequences together. They search for the Milwaukee site and quickly find it. Overjoyed, Megari hugs Nakami tightly. They explore the area, gather information, and discover the ideal spot for Nakami's camera. The stunning night sky amazes them. Nakami sets up his camera and suggests taking a walk while it captures the first set of photos. Later, he moves the camera to another location for the final shots. During this moment, Nakami confesses his love for Megari, promising his feelings are forever. Megari, overwhelmed with happiness, covers her face and asks him to take her picture to capture the moment. As they wait for the camera, they lie on the grass, sharing childhood memories. Nakami recalls a summer trip with his family where his mother showed him the stars, and he felt scared of them. Megari shares her own childhood fear of black holes. As they exchange stories, the camera finishes its work. They celebrate the beautiful pictures, marking the training camp a success. At a cafe, Nono and Kanami discuss how Megari faced her parents' scolding after they picked her up and took her home. Anamizu joins them, and the group starts working on their summer homework together. Meanwhile, Yukawa visits Shiromaru Senpai at the arcade and asks about the astronomy club's funding. Back at home, Megari begins a radio broadcast dedicated to Nakami. She shares her excitement and mentions being grounded until school resumes, though she has no regrets. She reminisces about their first meeting in the observatory and how it became their sleeping place, even before they knew much about stars. Together, they formed the astronomy club and created unforgettable memories during their training camp. Megari recalls she never properly responded to Nakami's confession but falls asleep before finishing her thought. And that's how the season ends. Let me know what you think about this anime, and as always leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all in the next video.